What's up, guys? Back for another video. In this video, I'll be taking a look at the Microsoft Surface Pro 4. And before I start the video, I would like to give a big shout out to Adam. You know who you are, for providing me this review unit. I've had this unit now about 2.5 weeks. Also, there is a case on the Surface right now, so if you would like to see a review on the case, there will be a link in the description below, or there should be an eye icon in the top right hand corner of this video. And if there's no link in the description, that's because that video hasn't been made yet. The case review should be coming out tomorrow, so just check back on my channel or check back on this video, and the link should be down there once that video is made. Also, I'm not going to be actually using the laptop in this video. That's because it is running Windows 10, and everyone knows what Windows 10 is. I'm going to primarily be talking about the Surface itself, the battery life, the screen, the keyboard case, and all that in this video. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. Anyway, if you don't know what the Microsoft Surface is, it's essentially a combo laptop slash tablet, because once you're done using the actual keyboard, you can take off the keyboard and use it as an actual tablet if you want to. Now, the Surface comes in a bunch of different models. It comes in a M processor, i5, and i7 processor. Both the M processor and the i5 processor both use the same graphics, built-on graphics on the CPU. They both use the Intel HD graphics. Now, something a little bit different is, if you're using the i7 model, it will come with a little bit better graphics card built onto the CPU. It will come with the Iris chipset built onto the CPU, so you will be getting a little bit better performance out of the i7 than you would the i5 or the M model when you're talking about graphics performance. But even the i7 model, none of the services are really meant to game. Really, you're only going to be playing like esports type casual games like Counter-Strike, Dota, League of Legends, Hearthstone, Team Fortress. So don't buy the i7 thinking you're getting a lot more performance. Realistically, you're probably only going to get about a couple more frames per second in game. So don't try to buy the i7 thinking it's going to be way better for gaming than the i5 and M, which it's really not. It's just a bonus that the i7 model does have that Iris graphics chipset on the CPU. Also, they do come in 8, 16, and 4 gig of RAM if you need. Those are the configurations. Also, you can get 126, 256, and 1 terabyte of storage on the Surface. The model you're looking at right now is the pretty high up there. It is the i7 256 gig, 16 gigs of RAM model. So this is a pretty beefy model you're looking at right there. Now, going on to the keyboard itself, I actually like the keyboard on the Surface Pro. I've had no problems with this keyboard. It is a very functional keyboard. I have typed a lot on this keyboard, and I never really found my hands cramping on this keyboard. And as you can hear, the keys feel really nice to press. The travel on the keys are very good. I like this keyboard overall. Something the keyboard has, which is a nice addition, is that the keyboard does have a backlight. I don't know how well it's picking up on camera, but there it is. It does have a backlight. Also, the one I got for review also has a fingerprint scanner on it. But I found out you don't need the fingerprint scanner because Windows 10 has face recognition. So 99% of the time I was using the face recognition. And let me tell you guys something. The face recognition is awesome. I was even in dark scenarios where the rooms were dim or even no light, and it still found my face flawlessly. So most of the time, you're not going to have a problem with the face recognition in Windows 10. So there's no reason to buy the one with the fingerprint scanner, because that is going to be extra money. I think it's like $40 extra for the keyboard case with the fingerprint scanner. So I would not recommend that at all. Now, moving on to the battery life of the Surface Pro 4. Microsoft claims you can get about 8 or 9 hours of battery, but in my testing, I was only able to get around 5 to 6 hours of battery, and that's even moderately watching videos all day and even just browsing the internet all day. I found out I was still only getting 5 or 6 hours. And also, once you play some casual games, the battery is going to drain even more on that. So just take that into consideration. I was not able to get 8 or 9 hours of battery. And just also be aware, this was a brand new review unit I got in straight out of the box. I had to unpack it, so just take that into consideration. Now for the screen is a 12.3 inch screen. Most of the time I find the smaller laptops to be too small. Usually in the past I've been using 15 and up laptops, but honestly it took me a little while to adjust to the 12.3 size. That's just me because I don't use smaller size laptops, and honestly after I got used to it, I really did like the size of this laptop or hybrid. I really did like it. And especially once you pull it off the keyboard, it does seem really big when you're holding this thing in your hands. It feels really big. And for the weight of it, it is 1.5 pounds for the whole contraption. And honestly, at about 25 to 30 minutes, I felt like it was a little heavy and I had to rest it on my lap. But that's not really a big deal because you can put it on your lap, like I said, or you can just kick out the kickstand and put it on a table if you need to use it that way. So it's not really a big deal. Now when it comes to the heat of this thing as well, you can notice some heat on the back, but it's not going to burn your hands or be really annoying to you. It wasn't really that bad, so that's good that it wasn't really too hot when you touched it. After even during load, it wasn't that much heat coming out. And as for the fan noise is not that bad on here. It wasn't like I was so annoyed I had to turn the laptop off. Maybe if I had this thing 9 months or even 4 or 5 months, it might start heating up and actually being a little bit louder, but right now it is perfectly fine. But that's at the 2.5 week mark. Also, the screen is a quad HD screen, which means it is a weird resolution. It is 2.5K. Usually quad HD is 1440p or 2K, but this one's a little bit over 1440p, probably about 50% more pixels than 2K, so 2.5K. And also the screen aspect ratio is weird as well. It is a 3:2 aspect ratio, so when you're watching videos on YouTube or whatnot, you will get letterbox, which is kind of like widescreen, so the top and bottom will be cut off, unfortunately, but it really did not bother me. That did not bother me. And also the Microsoft Surface Pro 4, just like the 3, does come with a pen. I was writing with the pen and it's really, really nice. It does feel like you're writing on a piece of paper. Now this thing does run on a battery. Microsoft claims you can get about a year with the battery. I cannot test that, of course, but right now it is still at full battery after 2.5 weeks. One nice thing about the pen is that it does have an eraser on the end of it, so you can erase on the screen. Also, it is clickable, so if you click it, it will open up a program of your choice or even a web page of your choice, so that is really nice. And with the battery and all, this thing does have a little bit weight. It weighs probably about maybe a gram or two. Very, very light, but you can still feel that it doesn't feel cheap. It feels very sturdy and very reliable. I did like to use this pen. Now, right now, I'm going to give you my overall thoughts on the Surface, who should buy the Surface and whatnot. Now, if you're a gamer, I recommend not to buy this thing because you're only going to be playing casual games like I stated before. Counter-Strike, Dota, League of Legends, Team Fortress, Hearthstone, those type of games. You're not playing any big AAA games because none of them have a dedicated graphics card. If you want one with a dedicated graphics card, you're going to have to look elsewhere. Also, for the average consumer, I highly can't recommend this product. Although, in my testing and everyday use, I never had a problem with it. It wasn't laggy. It didn't like crash or anything like that. The reason I can't recommend this to most people is because the price of this thing is just way too expensive. The M model, which is a mobile processor, starts at about close to $1,000. It starts about $899 to about $1,000. So that can be very, very expensive. So the pricing of these things are just really expensive. And the biggest downside I found from the Surface, which is just me, it may vary from person to person, is that it did not have enough USB ports on here. I found myself needing more USB ports, and one USB port is just not enough for me. But again, that may vary from person to person, so that's why I really don't call that a con. I know you can get a dock for this thing that gives you 4 USB ports, and it gives you an internet port, but that will be another $199 extra, and that can get very pricey. Also, most people are going to want to buy the i5 model of the Surface, which starts over $1,000, and you got to take in consideration all the models don't come with the keyboard. You do have to buy the keyboard sold separately, and with the keyboard being sold separately, that's just going to be a lot of money. The keyboard sold separately, which with each model is about $140. So tack on the M model, the base model was about $900 plus the keyboard. You're looking at $1,000 right there. And the reason I can't recommend it is because for the same amount of money, you can buy a laptop with more ports on it and a dedicated graphics card for around $1,000 or even a little bit more than $1,000, especially if you're buying the i5 version. The i5 version, of course, is going to be $1,200-$1,300 with the keyboard when you buy the keyboard with this. So that's why I can't recommend the Surface. I'm not hating on the Surface. It's just the price. For most people that want something else with more ports and more storage and whatnot. But if it was a little bit cheaper, honestly, I could easily recommend this. If this thing was like $600, $700, $800, then that's not too bad. But for a mobile processor starting at $800 to $900 plus the keyboard, which gets you to $1,000, most people are going to need the i5 one anyway to do any video editing and even playing casual games. Like I said, you're spending around over $1,000 easily for that i5 model, which I cannot recommend. Go get yourself a different laptop with more ports and even a dedicated graphics card for around the same price. You can buy the i5 model. That's the biggest downside to the Microsoft Surface Pro 4. But other than that, it is a fantastic device. I've had no problems with this device whatsoever. Anyway, guys, peace out. I'll see you guys later in my next video. I'm out, guys.